has to stop. A 13-year-old girl has been raped by 2 asylum seekers, and I was told that if I released this, I would be in contempt of court, and that I cannot release this due to this phrase, community cohesion. That's the problem. They're trying to cover up the minority, the people that are coming over on boats illegally, and the people of Nuneaton are hurt. They've had enough, and that's why I'm urging all council leaders from all parties to join me in campaigning to stop the housing of illegal immigrants in HMOs with Serco and the illegal immigrants in hotels.
Today, there is certainly rising public anger out there in the country. As you can see, the number of protests that are taking place outside migrant hotels up and down the country is indeed evidence of that. And increasingly, the migrant hotel issue has moved really from one of fairness, why on earth have people been given all these things, to very much about the safety of women and children. For all the government's talk about protecting children, which they claim is the sole purpose of the Online Safety Act, our criticisms of that and the impositions on free speech that have been imposed just in the first week of its operation have led to them sinking to the depths. I would suggest that comparisons that somehow we're siding with Jimmy Savile were wholly inappropriate at every way. But what we will today be talking about is a cover-up. A cover-up that in many ways is reminiscent of what happened after the Southport killings last year. I will say to all broadcasters when we get to this segment of today's press conference, nothing we say will in any way be in contempt of court. And indeed, to quote Jonathan Hall KC, who is the independent reviewer of terrorism legislation, he said in the wake of Southport that we should spell out the basic and sober facts. And that's exactly what we will do today.
We're the last line of defence against the blob, the cover-ups of the councils, and we have to fight every step of the way against this blob, and this is what we're doing on Warwickshire County Council. It has to stop. A 13-year-old girl has been raped by 2 asylum seekers, and I was told that if I released this, I would be in contempt of court, and that I cannot release this due to this phrase, community cohesion. That's the problem. They're trying to cover up the minority, the people that are coming over on boats illegally, and the people of Nuneaton are hurt. They've had enough, and that's why I'm urging all council leaders from all parties to join me in campaigning to stop the housing of illegal immigrants in HMOs with Serco and the illegal immigrants in hotels.
Threatened, basically threatened, and told the public do not deserve to know the truth. It is absolutely disgraceful. In fact, it has shades of the same mentality at local level that led to Rotherham and the huge shock, not just we as a country, but the international community, who could not believe we'd sunk to those depths. Turning a blind eye, not telling the British public the truth. But when it comes to protecting children, we're not hiding behind a flawed piece of legislation. We genuinely intend to protect, in particular, women and children. And I made this point 2 weeks ago, but I'll make it again today. None of these young, unidentified males that are coming into this country should be free to roam the streets. They should be detained ahead of them being deported. And that is absolutely what we stand for as a party, and we mean it. And we'll do that to protect the British people. We have simply had enough.
Thank you very much. Can I just take you back something you said right at the start? You talking about the government and the Online Safety Act, and you said they claim that protecting children is the sole purpose of the Online Safety Act. So you seem to think there is a real hidden purpose. What is that?
Well, if it was to protect children, why on earth would an elite police force be set up to monitor what people say online about events such as what's occurred in Warwickshire just last week? Why on earth are we seeing the extent to which online material has been censored, including, I was hearing this morning, even historical comments about Richard III? I mean, this is the beginning of state censorship. It is very worrying and very frightening. As for the intended purpose of the Act, a process begun by the Conservative Party, fully understandably, because of suicide kits being available online and all of these terrible things. Yes, of course, the original intention of the Act was honourable and correct in every way, and we would stand behind it. The trouble is that I suspect most 13-year-olds are more tech-savvy than the Science Minister, Peter Kyle, because they simply go to VPNs where they can't just access what's on the web, they can even quite easily find themselves in the even deeper and darker recesses of the dark web. Do we want legislation that protects children? Yes. We're going to have to find a tech solution to it. The government is not there with it. Well, the big story is they're going to spend £100 million on this. Wow. We've given the French £800 million already. And every calm day we see the French Navy escorting vessels literally from the beaches of Gravelines or wherever it may be to the Midway line. And yes, you can employ more officers and you can do whatever you want and you can put more border force boats in the channel and more drones and spotter planes in the sky. And you can speed up the asylum process. Easy. Just wave everybody through. In fact, from Sudan, Eritrea, countries like that, that's pretty much what we do already. None of this stops people coming. Why do people come? They come because they know they have an over 99% chance of staying. They come because they know they will be looked after, 3 square meals a day, free dental care, free health care, 49 quid a week pocket money, and while they're at it, probably work illegally, either in delivery services or drugs or whatever it may be. There is only one way you're going to stop this. There's only one way you're going to stop this. Australia went through these agonies back in the earlier part of this century, where they argued at election after election what to do. They tried offshore processing and many other things, and still the boats came. In the end, they towed the boats back to Indonesia. We will make it absolutely clear, as Colin has said already, that the ECHR, whatever its good intentions in the post-war world were, is no longer fit for purpose in any way at all, and we will be free to detain those. And by the way, all around the world, if you enter a country illegally, you will be detained and deported. This is what normal countries do all over the world. We've surrendered normality to this new human rights regime. So if you come to Britain via that route, you will never be given refugee status. You will never be given permanent leave to remain. You will not be free to walk the streets, as so many have done that have committed some of these vile crimes, and you will be deported. And that's the message, plain and simple. And you know what? Within 2 weeks, you won't see a single migrant boat.
You say migrants in hotels should be deported. Mm-hmm. Where should they be deported to if their country isn't safe or if another country won't accept them?
I'm sorry, I've had enough of this. If you come from Afghanistan, you go back to Afghanistan. End of. This idea we can't send people to certain countries, all the false claims that people make about their own personal lives. I'm sorry, we're done. We're done. We've had enough.
Hi, Mr. Farage. You said today that police need to be able to release as much information as possible about those potential offenders. So are you saying that they should, the police, in all cases, release the names, addresses and immigration status of people after they have been charged with an offence? Your critics will, of course, say that this is going to inflame community tensions. This could cause unrest on our streets. We are already seeing a very precarious situation. Is that not just going to make things far, far worse? Thank you.
What caused unrest on our streets after Southport last year was us not being told the status of the attacker. That led to crazy conspiracy theories spreading online. You know, so look, you know, I've made it perfectly clear through this press conference, and George understands this absolutely as well. You know, we do understand and respect the contempt of court rules. But, you know, I'm going to go back and quote just one more time. Jonathan Hall, KC, the independent reviewer of terrorism legislation, a watchdog over this area, you know, who said in the wake of Southport, we should spell out the basic and sober facts. He also said that governments should stop hiding behind contempt of court rules. People need to be given reasonable truth. And, you know, we might not like the truth, or we can accept the truth, but to have masses of speculation as to what might have happened makes things, I think, far worse than they otherwise would be.
And if I may, is this Project Fear? Are you trying to make people afraid and trying to steer them into fear, and therefore that is the way you will get them to vote for you?
No, they are afraid. They are afraid. I dare you to walk through the West End of London after 9 o'clock of an evening wearing jewellery. You wouldn't do it. You know that I'm right. You wouldn't do it. And that's just in London, let alone what's happening in so many other parts of the country. And the genuine fears that mothers have, particularly for teenage kids, when we know already that an Afghan male has a 22 times more likely chance of being convicted of rape than somebody born in this country. The fact that 40% of sexual assaults in London over the course of the last 5 years have been committed by those born overseas. You know, we have to recognise something. There are some people who come from certain cultures that pose a danger to our society. It's as simple as that. As for our prisons policy, well, I mean, goodness gracious me, why don't you give us a chance? We're just setting up the task force to work these things out, unless you'd like to comment on that mental health problem.
Look, it is a fact there are a lot of people within our prisons who do have mental health issues. Thankfully, with the introduction of InReach and Outreach, things have got better. They're not right at the moment. There are issues with people being able to protect themselves and being put in prison, but what else do you do with them? And that is something that hopefully our task force will work through.